11 strangers stepped onto a raft with almost no privacy and no comfortable way to get away from one another. The experiment was based on a dark prediction. Crowd people together long enough, and jealousy, dominance, and violence will eventually surface. But the first thing to fall apart was the prediction itself. By the end of the first week, one person was handling navigation. Another was protecting the supplies. Someone else was looking after the group's health. They still disagreed. They weren't becoming friends, and they weren't proving that humans are naturally good. They were becoming essential to one another. So what happens when 11 strangers can no longer survive on their own? Maybe a tribe doesn't begin with affection. Maybe it begins when someone else's competence starts keeping you alive.
The lights go out in an apartment building. The elevator stops. The hallway vanishes into darkness. Phones become flashlights, then slowly begin to lose power. Nobody calls a meeting. One neighbor checks to see whether anyone is trapped in the elevator. Another finds candles. Someone knocks on the door of the older man upstairs. A woman who rarely speaks to anyone starts carrying bottles of water out of her apartment. 10 minutes earlier, these were separate households behind locked doors. Now, each person's actions can affect everyone else. The neighbor who knows the stairwell becomes useful. So does the person with a first aid kit. The quiet resident who noticed the smell of smoke may suddenly matter more than the loudest person in the hallway. A group is formed before anyone even calls it a group. Evolutionary anthropology describes humans as unusually interdependent animals.
In plain English, no single person could reliably find every resource, watch every direction, make every tool, treat every injury, and protect every child alone. Different abilities had to work together. One person noticed tracks, another remembered the way home. Someone knew how to treat wounds. Someone stayed awake while the other slept. Separate skills became one survival system. Modern apartment life can hide that dependence. People share walls while ordering separate meals, driving separate cars, and moving through separate routines. A neighbor can remain a stranger for years. Then the power goes out, and the building stops functioning as a collection of private rooms. It becomes one shared problem. That does not mean everyone suddenly likes one another. Cooperation is not friendship. When the lights come back on, the arguments, differences, and closed doors may return too. But during the blackout, the social category has already shifted. The stranger is now the person holding the flashlight while you check the stairs. A shared problem can turn separate people into a temporary group. And once that group exists, it begins watching for something else. Whose actions are making the danger smaller?
A family's car breaks down on the side of an unfamiliar road. One person immediately starts giving orders. Take everything out of the trunk. Call someone. No, don't put the jack there. Another person barely says a word. They open the trunk, find the tools, check the ground beneath the car, and start working on the actual problem. Within minutes, the entire family is watching them instead.
No one holds an election. No one officially hands over authority. The danger simply makes competence visible. A crown can tell people who is officially in charge. A toolbox reveals whose actions are actually working. That distinction would have mattered constantly in ancient human groups. One person remembered the route to water. Another made tools. Someone recognized dangerous tracks. Someone else knew which wounds required pressure and which plants could ease pain. No one could perform every necessary task equally well. A group did not become safer when one powerful person silenced every skill they didn't personally possess. It became safer when different abilities remained available and the group knew how to rely on each one. Research on hunter-gatherer social networks, including work by Corinne Apicella and her colleagues, highlights the importance of cooperation beyond immediate family. People exchanged food, information, labor, and support through relationships that extended beyond their closest relatives. Put simply, humans did not need to love everyone they depended on. They needed access to what other people knew. The same shift happened on the raft. Navigation produced visible results. So did repairs, medical decisions, and the protection of supplies. When someone made a useful decision, the raft kept functioning. When someone made a bad one, everyone had to live with the consequences. Status became harder to fake because the ocean kept testing the work. The same thing happens when a hospital loses power. The person with the highest title may still matter, but the room starts following the nurse who knows which patient cannot wait, or the technician who understands why the backup system failed. Confidence sounds impressive until the wrong decision makes the danger worse. Authority is assigned. Leadership is demonstrated. When survival is shared, protect the group and follow competence. But that rule creates a dangerous conflict of its own. What happens when the person officially in control means the group to turn hostile because cooperation would prove their entire theory wrong?